sound the alarm, folks, because like I said a couple days ago, this situation is just going to get even crazier with Nintendo Switch and next generation Nintendo hardware discussions, because this morning a brand new report went out from Video Games Chronicles with a ton of information coming from Andy Robinson, who, I mean, he has a pretty good track record when you look at things like that. Lots of people are coming out and saying that this is accurate and this is things that they have heard. So it looks like this could be potentially the first actual information that we have on the next generation Nintendo console. This, of course, is coming to us from Video Games Chronicle. I'll have a link to it in the description box. I'm not a Nintendo YouTuber, but I am a video game news YouTuber. Sources: Nintendo targets 2024 with next-gen console. Key partners have development kits ahead of planned launch, sources tell VGC. Now, the development kit thing, that's something we've actually talked about previously with the whole, there's a Spanish-based or Spain-based developer that has a development kit. This was a Twitter account saying this sort of thing. Of course, we kind of put two and two together and said, well, it's Mercury Steam. Obviously, they work well with Nintendo on certain projects, if that was indeed the case. But having multiple sources is something obviously very different. Andy Robinson, he's putting his ass on the line with this, so I hope for his sake that this is all true. But let's go ahead and look into the details here. So basically 2024, the second half of 2024. So that's kind of our first little look into when the system is going to be released. Now, the first half of 2024 will of course be the first portion of the year. That does fall in line with what Nintendo had been saying, that there's not going to be a console releasing this fiscal year, which, I mean, that would end on March 31st of 2024. Second half, summertime launch, that would be sort of different. I think that would be kind of something to keep an eye on, because obviously things can potentially change. I'm not even saying that this is 100% accurate. I'm just saying this is the most tangible news on the system that we have gotten thus far. So it's something worth discussing here. Scrolling right along here, two sources VGC spoke to suggested that the console would launch with an LCD screen instead of a more premium OLED in order to bring costs down, especially considering the increased storage needed for higher fidelity games. The current Switch comes with just 32 gigs of internal memory, while many current gen PlayStation and Xbox games are over 100 gigs. Now, I kind of find that interesting because, you could do things with an LED screen, but I feel like a lot of people are used to that OLED screen. So hopefully, this is a very nice LCD screen. I don't know about that. I don't know how I feel about that, if that is indeed true, because that doesn't feel like next generation. You know what I'm saying? That feels like almost a step backwards, especially when so many people have adopted the OLED model and so many people are used to that model. If that's the case, if it really comes down to a matter of money and you want to have a cheaper model, release two different systems. Release an OLED and release an LCD and let consumers decide what they want to pick up. Storage, storage has gotten cheaper. Every month you see storage prices going down and down. So I don't know how big of a role that would play as far as cost efficiency with this system, because you feel like you would sort of know what sort of potential the power of the system is going to be if it is something that we're just sort of expecting, a beefed up Nintendo Switch model, maybe with some new gimmick or something like that. Like its predecessor, the new Nintendo console will also accept physical games via a cartridge slot, the sources said. Other details, such as backwards compatibility support for Switch games, physical and digital, remains unclear. Nintendo has said it wants to convert as many as a Switch's 100 million plus user base as possible to its next system. Although some third-party publishers are said to have expressed concern that legacy support for Switch games could negatively affect sales of next-gen titles. That's funny, because when I said that, I was a bad person. Fanboy boards came after me like I'm an idiot, but it's something that should be discussed. It's something that should be brought up. This is a business. If I'm a businessman, I want to resell as many games as humanly possible. Remasters are popular, remakes are popular, but remasters more so because they're high risk, or they're low risk, high reward situations. You know, you don't have to put a lot of money into this game that you already have that's going to sell. The top selling game on the Nintendo Switch on the new console is what? Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, because you can have all that stuff from Mario Kart 8, have some extra stuff in it. And of course, they've added stuff into it. They've added stuff into games like Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. You know, you could do re-releases of these games and people would buy them. Like, it's just a factual thing. You have all this additional content that's been added that was not available physically. Scrolling right along, Nintendo did not immediately respond to VGC's request for comment on this. So basically, then we get into some sort of details about, you know, just how the market is and stuff like that, how much it would potentially cost, stuff like that. You know, nothing too crazy in here, but this is like the first report kind of saying what people have been thinking and kind of confirming some of the questions that people have had. But I still don't love this report for a few different reasons. It is kind of vague, and you know, the vagueness of it does leave a lot of things open to interpretation. I'm sure Andy did get, you know, actual sources telling him this sort of stuff. I'm sure that there are development kits out there. Development kits have probably been out there for quite a while now, but I don't necessarily think that's an indicator of like this is an immediate thing or anything like that. Because if we're going by this, then the development kit, I'm sure they just didn't arrive. I'm sure they just UPS didn't just deliver it. Like, I'm sure they've had it for a little while. So over a year to work on games on whatever this new system is something that was, you know, it's reasonable to think. You know, a cartridge slot, I mean, that's kind of interesting. Obviously, if it's going to be a portable system, you know, a hybrid system like we already have, you can't really do a disc. Like, I mean, unless you're doing like a UMD, like a proprietary sort of disc. I think we learned that, you know, when you had the CDs back in the day, I'm really dating myself here, when you had, you know, CDs and you had, you know, anti-skip protection, because if you moved a little bit, the disc would skip and stuff like that. You can't really do, you know, a DVD or a Blu-ray on a portable system because of the fact that it really sort of negates the portability of it. You know, I think all this is logical. I think all this is within the realm of possibility. I do find it interesting that backwards compatibility can't be confirmed by any of these sources, though, because I still am of the mindset that, you know, there's a good chance that it might not have it. If I'm a business and I'm looking at this, I don't want it to have backwards compatibility. I want you to rebuy my games because I want money. That is why businesses exist. Businesses exist because they want money. They want your money. And if they can get your money once again, then they'll do whatever they can. The LCD versus OLED thing, I think you got to have two models, man. I think you have to have two models of it because the Switch OLED screen is substantially better than the Switch standard model, which is an LCD screen. You know, are you still targeting like 720p? I would feel like you'd want at least, you know, 1080p. And obviously, you know, the screen size, you're getting such a smaller size screen compared to like a TV or something. There's no point in doing 4K and stuff like that. But if you can hit 1080 on, you know, a screen that size, I think it would look really nice. That might sort of overpass, you know, what the OLED would be able to provide. But still, like, I don't know. I feel like if you've already offered a premium option that people seem very receptive to, like, you might as well sort of go in there with that and have two different SKUs, one with an OLED and one with an LCD. Obviously, we would have to see the screens in order to, you know, sort of make a judgment on it. But obviously, this is going to be crazy. Yeah, this is going to be crazy. Now the floodgates have opened. Like I said, folks, strap in, strap on, buckle up, because it's just going to get crazier from here. There's going to be more reports. There's going to be more news. So potentially second half of 2024, our new Nintendo Switch comes out, maybe with backwards compatibility, maybe not, with an LCD screen, a cartridge slot. Not much else is known. Let me know what you think of this in the comments section down below. Do you think Andy is just talking nonsense? Because I honestly really don't. You know, I think he is a more reputable person within the industry. So if he says something and putting, you know, you're putting yourself out on the line there. You know, this is something big to put yourself out on the line. People like Wario64, people like Mochizuki have already retweeted this story. So, you know, with them sort of backing it, I feel like I can talk about it. Don't blame me. Don't come yelling at me if none of this is actually true, because I don't want to hear it. I'm not the one who made up this story. I'm not the one, you know, saying it's 100% true. I'm simply relaying the information that is out there. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. Go watch my other video from today. Obviously, it's been kind of a crazy day, but hey, you know, you got to strike when the iron's hot, baby. Terry Funk, the branding iron. And as always, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Later.